A very good evening to all the viewers joining us on this chilly Sunday evening. Welcome to the agenda of this week. My name is Ondangwa, your host. Tonight we are joined in the studio by Angelina Immanuel. She is an activist with the Affirmative Repositioning movement. But before I engage her, let's have a look at this image quickly.
No, it's not fair. All these people are witnesses. I don't know. Oh.
Yes, Angelina, thank you very much for joining us tonight on the show. What was that about?
Thank you so much, Taiwo. Okay, that was about. I went to consult with the Chinese guys at the mall, Huhu City Mall. Actually, what happened is the workers there firstly alerted the mayor that the Chinese were leaving. So the mayor then went to ask the owner of the shop, but then he never came back to the workers. And then they came to me and they told me the same story, that the owner even told the people at the factory that he was leaving. So I went to consult then the people or the management on ground, where they didn't even want to talk to me, but my aim was, at least even if they leave, the people that are working there at least have contract of employment for them to show at labor offices that they have been working there. Because there's an issue in Ondangwa that there's a worker that was working for a Chinese guy, remember Dragon? So that worker is fired and Dragon says they were not working for them. So there's no other evidence that the same person was working for that company. So I consulted the owner, the management on ground. They gave me the number of the owner. Then we sat and we talked about everything now, the contract of employment and also the code of conduct. When somebody doesn't have a contract of employment, there is no code of conduct, then they can act whatever way. So after I was done with everything, then the gentleman, Mr. Mayor, then approached me to say that I came to burn down the building, and I was already done just doing my shopping, because I went to the next Chinese shop to just collect something. So he really, it was bad, because he called me when I was already done. And he called, when I came to him, I even thought it was, we were going to resolve something. So he called me, just immediately when I was entering, he pushed me out of the shop. The same shop he called me to come in. And I was really angry because it's uncalled for. So that's actually what happened.
Okay. Now, so you didn't go there to close down the shops or even burn them as has been advocated for by some of your fellow activists?
No, actually it was, it was unfortunate that on that same Friday there was a protest that must shut down Chinatown. So I now don't know if our people can't see that it was shut down Chinatown, not shut down Huhu City. So why would one claim that I went to burn down or shut down Chinatown? And if it was about shutting down the Chinese, why only a specific shop, not every other shop in Ondangwa? Because I would have started with Dragon, the one that I already resolved the contract of employment with, to say, no, I can start here. So why must I start with the others? So it was not about shutting down or burning down. That's why on the same videos that are going viral, I even asked him who called him or who told him that I was going to burn down the shop. He didn't answer that. And who called him, because he said he got a call from one of us, and I said, who's that one of us? And I even told him, if I wanted to speak to him, I could have called him personally to invite him for a meeting or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the timing obviously is one of the things, because I mean, there was the threats to shut down Chinatown, and then there were messages going around, formal communication. I think Pau Pau from the Affirmative Repositioning movement has written to authorities that they were going to organize similar protests elsewhere in the country. So the Chinese are scared of affirmative repositioning and other activists. I mean, yeah. So are you sure it was simply a coincidence, or was it part of that mobilization?
No, it was a coincidence. It was because if we have to look at it, I went there alone. And I spent close to 30-40 minutes there. So if it was a burn down or shut down, could have shut down already. So you could have found the shops closed already, or burned down, and I could have been gone already. So I just felt it was, I didn't have to wait for everything to cool down for me to consult or to talk to the owners. Because mind you, the workers told me that, the employees told me that by the 1st of June, the old management will be gone. And if you let it lie like that, and that means that you can go there and they will be already gone, because the materials were on sale, everything else is on sale, there's no stock coming in. So this, and the other two Chinese were already gone. So that was the right time, because you don't know when they'll be leaving.
Well, what was the issue with them leaving? Is it that they will leave without paying their employees, or what is wrong with leaving?
Yes, the employees that have been they were employees that have been working like for 10 years, some 6, and they complained that they were not informed that they're leaving, and they were, if they are to leave, at least they must pay them their salaries, because you don't inform people that they're leaving. It's a similar, I think we had a similar case with a Chinese that was making bricks in Shakati. So you don't inform people that you're leaving, and then you leave, they come, the shop is closed tomorrow. And plus, on the same issue, they complained about that there's a new Chinese that is coming in, but it's bringing new employees. So they felt like they will come one day and the shop have a new owner and new people, and they don't have work. By then, if they have a contract of employment, they can lay a case in labor.
Yeah, it makes sense. What is your personal take on what has been going on this past week? The issue of counterfeit items being burned down, people getting arrested. Your fellow AR activist Dimbulukeni, Nauyoma, is still incarcerated as we speak. You know, what is your take on that?
Personally, I felt the government could have protected us, could have protected Namibians first. Because the issue of counterfeit, as they are saying, they've been happening, they are just coming out for... Now, if this have been happening, what I felt first, because on that same, was it Friday, I felt NAMRA could have acted to go to Chinatown before, where people are protesting peacefully, to go throughout all China shops and collect every other fake good that is there. That was then an act of the government to protect its people. But what they did, they sat down and relaxed. And I feel they are sitting down to say we cannot act on emotions just because people are out there. But I still feel the government must know people still have power. And if they are pushing for people to come out, that is what the people are going to do. And so my take on this is, there are a lot of counterfeit goods out there. And we even have our own Namibian brands that are not protected. I feel the government must start protecting its own people first. And when that is done, that's when they'll come out and say, they'll then protect other brands. Because I got into a discussion with somebody and they asked me, no, the government banned alcohol. It was alcohol. But I asked them, what does, okay, alcohol have danger to society, but a simple T-shirt written Adidas, which you could have negotiated and sit down and consult on way forward, you just decide to ban. Banning when, according to a Western law, when you could have sit down and say, okay, our way forward, we have orphanage homes, we have charities, you can give the clothes there, you can give, but any other danger good to society, yes, you can still say this is a danger to society, will ban. I saw, was it on the 22nd or 28th of February, Namra had an auction. And in customs in the north had an auction to these Angolan bales. So why ban? Why can't you auction? And I also saw, I have other, order with me, people that are coming in to say, actually when NAMRA takes your good, they do not give you that detention paper. So one client lost 50,000 worth of goods, and I even have the proof here. 50,000, they consult, they got a detention paper, they made declarations, and at the end of the day, the officer responsible is no more picking up their calls. Now, which goods did they ban? So they feel, and I feel, we Namibians are not protected. They run to protect Chinese at Chinatown, yet we have an issue on the table that is not resolved.
Yeah. I had Namra on the show this week, and what Sam Shiwuda said was that 99% of the items that they destroyed are actually foreign owned. They are not for Namibians. They are saying that people assume that it's actually the items of Namibians that were confiscated, but even if they were Namibian items, counterfeit products, that's illegal, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
What must we do with illegal things? When people indulge in illegal activities, what does the law say?
Which law?
No, the law on counterfeit.
No.
If I take, you are wearing an AR
T-shirt
right now. AR is a brand of your movement. If I start making, if I steal your brand, I live in Katima Mulilo or I live in Karasberg, I take your brand, I reproduce your brand, and I start selling those things, put money in my pocket, that's highly, highly illegal.
But Toys, can you remember 2019 election? We had Namibian flags that were being sold by Chinese here. If counterfeit was really illegal, I just felt the government could have started controlling then, because they have been lying there, looking at everything. If they have to control these things, then they must start from every other corner. We don't have a problem with them controlling. We just have a problem with them favoring one side and then just abusing the other side. We don't have a problem with that. The problem is, that, like I said, they could have gone to Chinatown and collected all these goods that were there, and they say, okay, fine, since, okay, the headline was probably misleading, since this is what happened, we also went there and we collected. Like they are saying in Wawashbai, they collected in Chinatown, and then they left one shop for the chief custom officers. So they are not cleaning with one leg, actually. So if that's what is need to be done, it's needed, then they must do it in all corners, not clean the other side and leave the other side. Yeah.
No, I hear you. So, I mean, there have been even allegations or fear, as a matter of fact, of xenophobia, that the Chinese have been targeted, when they are not the only ones guilty of this offense. There are Namibians who are doing that. The flags that you spoke about ahead of the 2019 elections, the flags were sold by a lot of people.
But produced by Chinese?
Does it matter really who we go after first? If if two people have murdered someone, a Chinese person is facing murder charges, and a Namibian person faces murder charges, do you arrest the Chinese first because they are not Namibian?
No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
All I asked for, that's why I said, okay,
Yeah.
they did that.
Yeah.
They could have done from there, they could have then continued to do the same thing. Because you cannot arrest somebody who have committed an offense now and then let the other one just rest because, okay, you cannot act on emotions. So I feel the discrimination has caused the anger from our people to act. And on the act of xenophobia, I feel we don't have a problem with Chinese. Say we really don't have a problem with Chinese. They have the goods that our people can afford, but they must just act according to our law. You cannot have a Chinese who's operating without a permit. We can't have people that come here on accompanying permit and they are working. We cannot have people here. Even our labor ministry must just go there and look at all these things. So they must act according to our law.
Yeah.
Don't come here, some of them, how do you sell $1 million worth of goods and you don't pay tax? And then you force a Namibian to pay tax. For example, there's a company called Zahara Manufacturing in Oshikango.
Yeah.
A Namibian will go there and buy window frames, door frames that are made there for worth of 80,000 with no tax because they are not being taxed. But you as Toivo who's going to sell these things or Chico who's going to sell these things, you have to be taxed by the government. So now, where is the balance there?
Yeah.
Because that Zahara Trading will give you a discount of 2,000. Then you come here, you struggle to sell the same product because Zahara is a manufacturing and retailer. So we want every other person, every other investor that comes in Namibia must abide by our laws, must pay tax, and also must treat our people right.
Yeah. As activists, what is your reading into that perceived preferential treatment of some of these market players like the Chinese in your daily engagements with people and government officials? What is it that they say to you guys as the reason why there seems to be this consistent favoritism towards the Chinese and not Namibians?
On the same video of the mayor, there's something that is said about they had an agreement with the Chinese, the investors that come here. So on that agreement was based on them not paying tax, they come and invest. But if there is an agreement like that, I feel officials must still come to the table and agree and talk about it and maybe just analyze or where to change and the way forward with these things, because you cannot have for 32 years or how many years this person have been here not paying tax. It's really bad. It's really so. I feel that because I've been engaging all corners of this country, I feel every other ministry responsible for these people, for foreigners, for any investor that comes in. You know, do you know, Toys, do you know that Chinese, let me say the ones that I visited in Oshikango, they do not even know or were not, to say, maybe put on a conference to educate them about our labor law. They will tell you, no, like the ones that I went to now, they told me, no, we have somebody from labor who's Steven. I know Steven. Steven is not from labor. He's a labor consultant. And I called Steven to say, no, Steven, the Chinese here at Three Brothers Shop are saying that you are their labor inspector. He says, no, I have been there maybe the past 7 years. I only came there because they consulted me and we had to solve an issue where they didn't want to pay a worker. So actually they don't know who is a labor inspector, what is a consultant company, and all these things. I feel that our government is failing us there, and ministries must take it upon themselves to go educate these people and educate the whole nation about all these things.
Indeed. We go for a break and return for second half.
have a wonder if love would come my way. Sitting waiting for my life to start. Oh yeah, I couldn't help but wonder if I'd see a brighter day. That I would find some peace of mind, and love would fill my heart. Thanks to you, I got a reason every day to keep believing I can do.
We continue with Angelina Immanuel from the Affirmative Repositioning movement. Now, so your fellow activists have been arrested. And a lot has been said. I mean, what have you learned from this episode of Dimbulukeni in particular, because I know that you work closely with him. What is your interpretation of his arrest, first and foremost? Because I'm asking because there are people who are saying, yeah, no, but they were fighting for the people, or they didn't really break the law, or there are higher political powers that are sort of keeping
involved.
Yes. Well, what is your interpretation?
I think I'm with the high political powers that are involved, because just because Dimbulukeni is part of the protest doesn't make him a kingpin. So you can't just say because I'm part of the demonstration, I'm the one who is leading it. So I feel he was targeted, because you can't go even to a court room and say, no, we are keeping him because he's a kingpin. Now, if he is a kingpin, people that are outside there protesting, then who's pushing them? Because he's now detained or in custody. Now, the people outside, if the kingpin is away, are they not supposed to then be afraid? I also feel it's intimidation. Like, they're threatening people outside that if you continue protesting, which, like Kadia said, that it's a democratic right. So if you continue protesting, we are going to do what we are doing to him. So my take is, if D have the same charges like the other 6 that are out, why are you keeping him? So, and I still conclude there are people of high ranks that are involved in it.
Yeah. I mean, part of the argument that I've heard from the legal experts this week was to say that even if you face the same charges, the gravity of your specific allegations could be more. I mean, you could be charged for murder, but the circumstances of your murder, maybe you acted in self-defense, killed a person, but the charge will read murder for now. Then there's someone who, I don't know, chased after a person, an innocent child, killed them, then they say, so the charges for both persons are murder, but the gravity of the circumstances differ. So, I mean, I'm not defending, I'm saying that is what I picked up from some of the people. But what I want to put to you, Angelina, is there is this thing of saying, like you just said now, we want the Chinese or everybody else to actually comply with the law. It's a good call. Do you think that activists like yourselves are exempted from doing things the legal way, because you can put across your exact discontent to authorities, but through following the laws? I mean, demonstrations, for example, there's a particular legal way to hold demonstrations. You must notify the police in advance, you must do what. Instead of just rocking up and say, we are going to burn down your shops. I mean, are you exempted from the law?
Not that, Toyo. What the law did first, and I felt it was wrong, was for the general to order an arrest.
Yeah.
So publicly, just to order an arrest of somebody who went out there to to just show that they are burning goods, but they are goods that are here, and you go live to say he must be arrested. And we have an incident, like you're saying, of the kid, that murder. Now, how do we have leaders that go out there and say arrest, but arrest because of a certain act, but you can't just say revoke the bail and rearrest the person also? It is said, and you feel our leaders are taking an advantage just because it's, as they say, it's a peaceful Namibia. We must just order whatever we want. So activists are not exempted, but an activist have to push for political and social changes. And realizing that with our own people now, I just feel we have done it. We have done the right way so much. We've pushed through everything the right way. Just to say, now there are people out there that are demanding for contract. There are activists out there demanding for contract of employment from Chinese. But we have a labor ministry sitting without just maybe organizing a team to go and educate people that, guys, these people are busy consulting you on a contract of employment. This is how you draft a contract of employment. Do you know how difficult it is to consult a Chinese guy and say contract of employment? Do you know, a lot of them do not even speak English. So personally, I took it upon myself. We drafted contract of employment in Chinese and in English, but it's not supposed to be like that. These people are communicating every other way in Chinese. So if that is not being done the right way, lawfully, as you're saying, why must really activists come out on the lawful way? Because we notify the police then I just felt, if I come to your place, I was just sitting there protesting, because I don't have to beg the Constitution is clear. I don't have to beg the police to come and escort me. I notify the police. So what happened there, and the police was there. When they did that, the police was there. So who notified the police?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, yeah, it's a good question. Who notified the police? I mean, yeah, only the police can answer that question. But then, you see what I'm saying is that I think the principle is correct. To stand up as activists, to stand up for people and say, you can't have people being underpaid, you can't have people working for you without employment contracts, and all sorts of things that happen in those places. I think it's correct. And you are saying those things because you feel they're unlawful. But then if you yourself are not lawful in your conduct and in your approach, that becomes, for me, it's a double standard, maybe hypocritical, and also very, very dangerous, because the precedent that you set, I mean, I look at Michael Amushelelo, for the past couple of weeks, he's been barging into people's workplaces. Again, the principle is correct. You want things to be done correctly. But if everybody just starts to say, oh, Michael is allowed to do these things, Teva can also just pop up in our workplace and say, demand. I mean, it becomes, where do we end?
No, Toivo. Remember, Michael sat with the labor minister, and all he concluded was, no, if you, okay, with the whole nonsense thing, now, how do you expect to go the right way if the person you are consulting doesn't even want to speak to you? So if we are saying we must go the right way, which one is the right way? Because if somebody tried to approach you and talk about whatever way they have conducted themselves, you as a leader were supposed to then cool them down and talk to them and listen to them. Because that is you as a leader, and that leadership skill must be displayed always. But if you show me that you don't want me to do the right things when I consult you, then that means that you've allowed me to push you on my ground. And I just feel, and I still look at our leaders and say, do they not see these things? Or why are they not acting? Because we can have a whole Namibian ministry that sits and say, we cannot act on emotions. And I still go back to, the people still have the power. And if you push them to a certain extent, they will act. So our people are being pushed to that corner. And if you feel, and if they feel frustrated, they are going to act. We can consult the labor ministry, we consult every other person, and they sit down. We have given out petitions to ministry right now. We've given out petitions also to Stinau at Chinatown. But we have also given a time frame to say, on the 31st of May, these things must be done. Because Toivo, as a Namibian Sun employee, cannot be living under Namibian Sun. So you stay where you work. And you cannot be, we have Chinese that are manufacturers and retailers here, and we still complain of high unemployment in Namibia. We still complain that our people are getting paid peanuts. When I went to Dragon, he told me, in China we pay a jar of rice to poor people. When you come and work, I pay you that jar of rice, and then that is your payment. So, and I had to sit with him and say, this is not China. So you go to Labor Ministry, you ask for that act, you read it, or somebody else translate it to you and understand it. The Chinese want to abide by our law, but our people are not doing the most to educate them about it. So I feel the government must come out full force, educate every corner of this, investors that are coming into this country and that are already in here, and clean the mess of these accompanying permits. And we have people that have permanent resident permits here that just feel you don't ask anything from them. They are Namibians. So all these things are happening under our people's watch, and we must solve them. If the ministers are not coming out lawfully to solve them, because they are doing things the unlawful way already, just to sit and say we are not going to act on emotion, that is unlawful, because you need to respect your people. They still have the power.
In your particular case, Angelina, what is it that what is the end game for you? What is it that you are a woman, you are young, you have your life ahead of you, but you chose this path, this, some would say, a very dangerous path, especially for women. When we saw in the video of you and the mayor of Ondangwa, there were issues of, oh, don't touch me, don't even, as if you were physically being, restrained. What makes you choose this path, and what is the end game for you? What is it that will make you say, look, I've done my activism now, we have gotten where we wanted, now I'm going to live a normal life? What is it that must happen for you to sort of say it's victory for you?
What must happen is, okay, like I always tell people, this is not my fight. I'm fighting for many others. So what must happen is at least to see a Namibian child treated fairly, a Namibian employee treated fairly. That to me is victory. And also to see a Namibian child living freely. Right now as we speak, we have if you go on ground, Toivo, that's when you will understand that this simple talks that we talk about, it's not what is on ground. People are really poor. People are struggling by any means every day. And if that happens whereby somebody who works at a Chinese shop is getting paid fairly, whereby the labor ministry, the same way they have set up minimum wage for domestic workers, trade unionists must come in and set up the same thing for people that works in a retail shop. When you look at things that, like, if I see a fellow sister, a fellow brother out there not being paid 600 to say, if I see, because my satisfaction is, even when I go and consult throughout these companies, is when somebody comes out and say, I appreciate you, we support the cause, and our condition has changed at work. That to me is victory. Because I even tell people that when I go out there, I go with my own taxi money, I go with my own everything, and I risk my life as a woman because of the same discrimination you are giving me here. They were saying, as a woman.
No, man, but this is exactly what I'm saying, that no, I want you to understand that correctly. What I'm saying as a woman, I'm just saying that women are already so disrespected in this country. But for some reason you found that courage to be, you have taken off the jacket of just being called a woman. You are not scared. So that was the context, not because I feel that women are weak or anything of the sort. But we live in a society that is very brutal towards women. That's what I just meant.
Yeah. So, okay, to me, that doesn't discourage me. I have daughters to fight for, and one day, even if the victory doesn't, everything that I want to accomplish doesn't come today, I feel one day my daughter or somebody else's daughter, somebody else's son is going to take up the act and fight and win it. So my motivation still comes from, I want to see a free Namibian child, a free Namibian employee, and a free Namibian resident who's out there to say, we are from a democratic Namibia, which the state is, which the government is not the state, like on things that we are seeing now. So an independent who is still going to go out there and say we have an independent judiciary who's going to rule with the people. So I still feel those will be my accomplishment in life.
Yeah.
And as a woman, I'm not going to be demotivated.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight.
Yeah. In 30 seconds, what has been the personal cost to you? You spoke about, you taking a cab to go confront some of these situations using your own resources. You are in Windhoek as we are doing this interview because there's an ongoing court case against Dimbulukeni, who's your fellow AR activist, and of course Mr. Amushelelo. At what cost do you do what you do? Not necessarily financially, but just how much sacrifice are you putting into this?
And like you said, your life is in danger because every other person that is not supporting the cause is hating it. So the life is in danger. You have to be careful, and you deprive your family of that attention that everyone else is giving their family. So that is, like as we speak, that is the cost. I was supposed to be in the north today, but I felt my brothers are still in there, and if they are denied bail, we need a way forward, and we need to go back to the table and say, what is the way forward? So the cost is, sometimes I look at my kids and say, they might feel deprived of the attention that every other parent is giving, but one day they will sit and say, we're proud of our mother, and we'll continue the fight.
Indeed. Angelina, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Taibo.
Yes, that was Angelina Immanuel. She's she is an activist with the Affirmative Repositioning movement, speaking about the fight for what they believe is against the injustices that in our country. Thank you for watching and have a blessed evening.